Typically, we focus only on cultivating peace of mind and joyfulness in ourselves or our children when there is an upset. We operate under the fallacy that the time to address deeper issues is when things go wrong, but it's helpful to think about the quality of the ideas we pass on to our children, like the nutritional value of the foods that we feed them. If a child's diet is malnourished, disease results. If a child's education lacks nutrients for happiness, dis-ease develops, a mind that is not at ease. This dis-ease can occur decades after childhood. The ailment can develop in the classroom. The initial ailment can develop in the classroom, the school lunchroom, and even in the schoolyard with one's peers. Seems far-fetched? Ask any therapist and they will confirm this. Much of their time with patients is spent discussing what happened in childhood. That is when we absorb our key notions about life and begin to construct narratives to support these theories. Yet despite this recognition, today's educational system and the environment that kids have when interacting with each other fails to focus on contentment and peace of mind. Instead, school is about memorization of facts that will soon be forgotten. The primary goal of child education should be about the development of a mentally happy person. I wrote this book because the question of whether my son will grow up to be a happy, content, satisfied adult, or an unhappy, discontent, and rarely satisfied adult is greatly determined by what he experiences in his childhood. The only mystery for me is why we continue to educate children in a way that clearly results in so many dissatisfied adults. Perhaps it is because we think this is the parent's responsibility, despite the fact that the typical child spends more time in school with his peers, with the computer, or with the television than he will with his parents. Or perhaps it is because as adults we blame the circumstances in our lives rather than realizing the underlying root causes were planted decades earlier. In this, we fail to make the connection between what we're taught as children with who we will become later in life. I believe parents can contribute profoundly to their offspring when they have the courage and tenacity to conduct their own self-inquiry. Our goal is to label our limiting life lessons. I call that the 4Ls. In writing this book, I hesitated to admit that I was taught and bought into some negative and limiting attitudes about money and chores. For you, it could be about relationships or trust, food, pretty much anything. But for myself, I think I can report that confessing it publicly in this book, I now feel more confident that I won't pass these ideas on to my son. Children watch how we relate to money and our adult chores, like our jobs or taking out the trash, to learn how to be in society. If we are insecure or lazy or complaining, this is their subtext. This subtext enters their subconscious and can affect how they relate to relationships, food, money, security, or going to work for the rest of their lives. I hope you agree that as loving parents we can commit ourselves to constantly examining our own limiting beliefs. If we can identify those lessons that we absorbed in childhood from our parents, friends, family, or teachers before we unwittingly pass them on to our children, we're doing them a great service. It's similar to my job as a parent to know basic nutrition or check the expiration date on food before feeding my son. I know how easily I can unconsciously pass on my rotten beliefs. It's so easy to do because we constantly mistake our opinions for fact. It then follows that our worldview and the lessons that we teach from that view are taken to be 100% valid. If I share my beliefs with my son as fact, not as opinion, and those beliefs are limiting or not empowering, then this cycle will continue generation after generation.